I'm very happy to have Francesco here today. And we both met in Greece in Kalamata through one of my freediving instructors that recommended me to go to Francesco for osteopathy. And I was very happy with the results. And also, I found that he has a very inspiring life. That's why I invited him here. So, yeah, maybe you want to introduce yourself, Francesco.
Thank you, Melo, for having me here. And yeah, we met, as you say, in Kalamata a month ago. And since then, I did another million things, of course. So basically, I'm a physical therapist and osteopath, and I used to work in Milan. I studied in Milan, and I did the classical course of study that is required in Italy to become a healthcare practitioner. So it's 8 years of study. Then after that, I take the normal road, which is I open my private practice, my private business. But through friendship, through connection, I ended up in Dahab in a moment where I was a little bit having some thought about my life, and I came in contact with the school where I'm at right now. I'm in Dahab right now, which is Touchdown Freediving School. They offered me opportunity to become the osteopath and the physical therapist for the freedivers. This is 2 years ago. At first, I was a little bit not sure about it, but after a couple of months of thinking, I went back to Italy. I say, all right, let's do it. Let's jump into this little bit crazy decision to leave everything behind in a nice way, of course, and let's challenge myself to do something new in a field that I always love, which is the sea, free diving. So this is part of my life. It's 6 months I'm in Dahab, like let's say 2 months at a time. The rest of the times I'm in Italy and also working now as my other passion, which is culture and history. So I am a tour guide, certified tour guide, and I take usually American tourists around my home region, which is Tuscany, Umbria, and a little bit of Rome. So I balance the two worlds, the sportive physical therapy osteopathy world in the Bedouin Dahab, and the other part is cultural things with the mess. It's very different. So my life kind of changed in the past 2 years a lot. So
Amazing.
that's
So that
me
was
in a nutshell, let's say.
perfect. There was more than an introduction already, so they know like about your various like lifestyle, and that's basically why I picked you to have a podcast episode with because it has probably not always been like that, right? I mean, what is your background way before? What was the first starting points? How you started when you were like born in Italy, and then like how was what was your past background?
So I was born in Tuscany. Like my family is my mom, my dad, obviously, and I have an older sister in a small city in Carrara, it's called. Maybe you know it for the marble. It's a city in the northern part of Tuscany. I did my high school there. And my dad is a marine biologist, so I was introduced to the sea by him a lot. Like I have a picture of myself, I think I was 11, and I got my PADI certificate when I was very, very young with my dad. Because he passed on his marine biology knowledge to me a little bit. So my curiosity, it has always been kindled by my dad and my mom. So thanks to them, I developed this very curious and inquisitive mind that led me into science studies. So when I was 19, I moved to Milan to pursue a career for physical therapy studies. And after that, 3 years of studies, I was still like looking for to have something to study more because I didn't feel enough for me 3 years. The human body is a very complicated machine, and I really love and really do love it still today. It's like okay, what can I do? And in Milan, there is a very good osteopathic school. It's called ESOM, International College of Osteopathic Medicine, and then enrolled into that. And it was other 5 years of studies while I was working as a physical therapist. I did all of this both work as a physical therapist and the studying to become an osteopath. And after that, I choose to open a private practice in Milan with a friend of mine for 2.5 years. It was during COVID time, so I graduated in osteopathy 2020, and I decided to kind of jump into the business idea, which went well, but it's the challenge was very nice. The economical part was actually nice. I cannot complain. But after 2.5 years of doing that, like be to have to be in an office, to renounce to all the other things, and because if you have a clinic, you really need to dedicate time to it. You cannot do other stuff. You're there 8 hours a day, almost every day. Tough job, but also once the challenge of putting everything up together and making running ended, and I was just grinding it. I was 29, turning 30. Now I'm 32. I was like, wow, am I arrived? I have the clinic. I used to have a girlfriend. I have a house. And it's like, this is it. I'm 29 and I aced everything I could ace. I have no challenge anymore. Just yeah, to keep going. But basically, there is nothing to explore left. So that triggered in me like a moment of reflections, like, is this really what I want right now? So, and that led to me to take the decision to come here in Dahab and kind of differentiate and explore around a little bit and take a chance, take a risk,
So
controlled risk, but
for everyone that listens and that's also like, I mean, that sees themselves in that position where you have been, like, what would you give as an advice? Like, how did you know that this is not the, like, you talked about triggers. So how, what would
Mhm.
triggers be like? Like, you were not
So
happy anymore,
for
or like, what was the
no, that's a very good question. Like for me, it was a little bit harder than that because my life in Milan, my life in Italy is a very fulfilling life on all the other aspects. I love my house in Milan. I have a house in Milan. I love it. My friends there, my hobbies, my passion. A little bit of a nerd, so I do my nerdy things. I like to cook. I have two different pizza oven. I like to hike in the mountains. Milan is perfect, so I really love that part. So I was not unhappy, not at all. My trigger was that in my job, which I really love, I start to be not curious anymore. Like for me, I tend to do things that makes me beat inside. I don't know how to explain, like that I like, that I'm passionate about, and which is weird because I was doing a thing that I really loved, but doing that too much and just that start to take away from it. And at a certain point, I found myself not being curious about it anymore, not caring about it. Like not like now, like literally, I was having lunch before here. I was looking at a video about new research they did about chronic pain. It's for me, it's just second nature. I'm curious. I endlessly do it if I like it and if I'm passionate about it, I do it. My trigger was that I stopped doing it. I was doing everything else, so again, I was not unhappy, but at a certain point, I had to sit down and say, wow, like this 7, 8 hours I spend every day, it started to be a burden. Used not to be, because it was not that way. And it became that way. And still, but I still loved my job. So it was a little bit weird. There was a moment I was a little bit confused. I was like, how is it, how this is possible if I love something, I'm doing what I love, and at a certain point, I stop liking it. And my answer was because I'm doing that too much and it's taking too much. And like if you like a cake, eat cake every day. It's not you're not gonna like the cake anymore. And this is the same. Like for the way my mind is built, I need challenges in different fields. And the clinic was not giving that to me anymore. My job in Milan was not giving that to me anymore. So I had to find an alternative, which presented to me into like also like a change of life pattern a little bit. And for now, I embrace it. I can do that. I don't have any obligation in Italy. I don't have a family yet. So it's the right time to do something like this, where you just kind of storm off and say bye, and you leave, and you don't know what's happening anymore. But it's okay. It's the right time to do that, I think. So that's
so
kind of was a
what
trigger
would
me.
you
Yeah.
say changed through that? Because have you been like, now you say you have this like time like where you're like working as an osteopath, and especially specific, like your specification now is on freedivers, right?
hmm
I mean, that
hmm
wasn't probably in the clinic not the case, right?
No, no, no. The like on my work, my dissertation for physical therapy was actually a research study for the treatment of the diaphragm muscle in freedivers because I was already doing freediving more for spearfishing. In Italy, we are big in spearfishing, but still, I loved it, and I was like, I need to do a dissertation And what can I do? And I did the research about manual treatment on the diaphragm muscle in freedivers. But then after that, life happens. You start to study. It's many years ago, and you get a girlfriend, you get the house, and you start to build layers on top of a dream, and you kind of forget that what you really wanted to do was to work with the freedivers in the sport, to work with as a sport physio, especially for freediver. I kind of forgot about it. So, and yeah, like in the study to make in the private practice to make the numbers turn around, like to so they add up to the right amount, you need to kind of say yes also to people who don't really appreciate your work. Like my line of work as a physio and an osteo really takes a lot of energy from me, and the money that I receive back is never enough for the amount of energy. But I really do it because I don't just do it for the money. I do it because I believe in what I do. I believe in I do what I preach, and I believe this is the right way to be healthy. And I really like to communicate this with people. So everything boils down to that. And I was feeling that in a big city, many times this concept is a little bit lost. So people really want just to have the magical pill for me to crack them so that they can forget about it, where many times in my line of work is more about a life change. Like you need to change life habits to have a long lasting result. And to explain this to a person, it takes a lot of time and energy. And if this energy is like not appreciated, after a while you get frustrated. Whereas here, like working on a smaller community with people who do sport, who really care about the health, when I do this, I feel that people are really grateful for me to dedicate my time and my energy to do the step above just of you have a bad neck and I fix it. I always try to give the extra step. I always try to walk the extra mile because again, it's not an economical reason because I really believe into this process of rehabilitation and communication. So now it's much better. In the clinic was it was starting to be a little bit just numbers,
Yeah.
start to feel a little bit lost into it, and yeah,
Was
that's
it
not why I work.
also because you mentioned that now your historical guide still in Italy and
Hmm.
Dahab doing the freediving
Hmm.
osteopathy? So that's also a big difference to before, right? That you like allowed yourself to not just have one profession, but just like somehow it felt like it feels to me like as if you had a look at the bigger picture, what's really interesting to you. And like it seems like there was this moment where you realized that it doesn't have to be just one profession, it can be both. To have
Hmm.
still Italy because you love your home country, obviously. And then also the part of the freediving osteopathy. So like this, you have even two parts
Hmm.
that are fulfilling you probably also more than if you would just go one profession, right?
See, it was a decision that I don't really like. I used to do the tour guide job before when I was studying because I lived in the United States for 1 year. I'm nerdy about history and culture and food, and I'm a communicator. Like all my years of clinical practice, they really gave me a powerful tool, which is the ability to communicate with people. To be able to communicate with people that are in pain, it's much more difficult to do that with people that are traveling around. So once you kind of have that skill, you can kind of use it the way you prefer. And then on top of that, I had this other passion of mine. Like this, I need to thank my parents. They really introduced me to historical and cultural facts about Italy since I was a little kid. Like I always went to the museum. My mother, she's from the central part of Italy. And in that area, there is a Etruscan population. And when I was a little child, like I used to go around like plowed field, like field that been plowed. And
Hmm.
it's in Italy, it's very common to find the little shards of vases that are totally useless for anything historical meaning. But for me, as a child, I remember spending days and hours looking to the into the turf of earth and trying to find a little shard of maybe a 2,000 years old vase. For me, it was magical thing, and it really stayed within me, like the ability to appreciate. The country that I was born in, which is Italy, and also the curiosity to know why something works in a certain way, and a sociological point of view requires you to dig a little bit on the historical point of view. And this like it always came natural to me. Like when I was studying on Wikipedia and internet was starting to be a thing, I remember clicking on the blue hyperlink of stuff. Like maybe you do a research for the school. Then I start to click on a thing because I didn't know, and click and click and click and click, and I spend hours and hours just like gathering knowledge because I was very curious. And that brought me to, yeah, that kind of naturally developed into starting to do tour job. My sister introduced me to that. She's an interpreter, but also she does tour job. And she she thought I could be a good fit. And I started to do that in 2017 for American kids. And she's like, ah, you need to do it. It can be a good fit, a nice way to like to do something different, to make some money while you're studying and you work. And I was like, yeah, why not? And I really enjoyed it. So I kept doing that until COVID, and COVID hit, and of course everybody had to stop. But after COVID, with the private practice, I stopped for like 4 years. I stopped doing this job, and I missed it. Like I really truly enjoy it. Like to go around Italy, show people about the culture, having interesting conversation, a change of environment, the challenge that comes with it is not easy to lead maybe 20 people around Italy. It's a logistical and also personal challenge to be around. But I really enjoyed it. But it's like, "Ah, I don't have time for it anymore. I need to focus on just this one thing because this is the right thing to do." And then I was like, what is right? What is wrong? What is right is what is right for me. If it doesn't feel right anymore, I need to do something different. So
But
I pick it back up. Sorry?
that's a I think that's a very important point because this, like, when you're talking about that, I can see myself in certain situations as well. Because in school, I was graduating in music, languages, and biology, and then I studied economics. But before, I was playing the flute, I was singing in a choir, I was part of an orchestra, I was in a swimming club since I'm 5. I was teaching kids how to swim. And then with the company job, with the corporate world, all my hobbies faded away.
No, it's
They faded away, and it was hard
true.
to keep track on them. So first I left the swimming club, the flute, I never touched it again. There was no choir in that area. I was not even thinking about going back to choir. So I know what you're talking about. And since I'm self-employed, all my hobbies like take so much time again, like that my work is such a passion now as a coach that I can like implement every aspect that I love into that profession rather than building around the professional life to be able to have somehow a hobby. Because I think that's what's so interesting about it, what you were talking about, because basically organically you created your own profession like that because you came
See,
from that fit. You loved that since you were a child with the historical stuff. For me, it was also like the ocean. I love that since I'm a child. I love music and languages and all this stuff, communicating with people since I'm very small. And I believe always that as kids, we know very well what we love. And then you basically just like took all that back and implemented it in a new way, in a new arrangement in your life. Because a lot of people that I'm coaching, they're very various in their interests and very multi-passionated. But society says then like, oh, but oh, that's not good. You have to have this one profession if you don't focus.
exactly.
And that's
See,
bullshit.
see, like,
Because
see,
it,
see, I agree
yeah,
100% on this. Like, it's like that's what I felt like I was being imposed something that it was not like I like to tailor my own suit. Like this was something that it was store bought. It was didn't fit right. My own personal body it has
exactly.
specific needs. My own personal, sorry, inner body, like inner mind, inner self had specific needs, and I was not meeting them. I always like on my counterbed during my childhood, there was always a history book, a fantasy book, and a scientific book. Like when I was a child, my dad used to, how to say, he gifted me as a subscription, like a monthly newspaper. It's called Newton, it was called, which was like basically a scientific newspaper for kids, but made by like real scientists, not like Focus, not nothing to
We
say
have
against
that.
Focus, but
It's called Galileo. We had that as well. Yeah, it's Galileo.
yeah, and I was like, I used to read, and beside that there was Archeologia Via, which means alive archaeology, which is a very nice, renowned um, newspaper about archaeology, studying for that. It was always there with the fantasy book. So that is me. Like who I am, and I was neglecting it to kind of focus just on one thing that I really loved and was hyper focusing on that. And at the end of the day, like it didn't allow me really to really use my strong suit. Like I was having this very interesting conversation with a friend of mine a couple of days ago about, yeah, wow, I studied 8 years, but now I'm like wasting all my study because I'm doing it just for 5 or 6 months a year, and like it's not even my main source of income anymore. Like tourism in Italy, if you start to be on a high level of it and you're professional, it pays very well. So like I was like, wow, what am I doing? And he's like, why you say that? Like he really we started to have this conversation, and we ended up agreeing on the fact that each and every one of us has some strong suit, and it doesn't need, like, if you can unite passion and work, this is an amazing thing. Like it's the best thing you can do is to unite the two of them. But sometimes the passion you have doesn't really have a counterpart into an economical gratification, which is okay. Like we are obsessed as nowadays to make a six-figure salary, otherwise you are a failure, and you forget that you are not the money in your bank account. Of course, money is a tool that you need. You need to have it to think about your retirement, to make a family, not naive enough to think that you don't need money. But it's very different when money is just a tool that you're using or when it becomes a goal. And I think that really much nowadays, like it becomes like people are obsessed about it in a way that you lose yourself in it because you're much more than one thing, much more than one profession. Corporate job can be a nice thing because like not everybody is shaped as my mind. I know that not everybody is like likes to have can handle maybe the not consequences. How do you say in English? Like the fact that you don't have certainties,
Yeah.
like the uncertain, the leap that you have to do. Like people like to have stability. I fully agree that. So company work can give you that, of course. So it's not like evil. Again, it's a tool that you can use. Sometimes, though, this tool is made to be predatory on you. It's made to predate on the strongest resource that you have, which is your time, basically. Like it's if you really think about that, you work on a company job, it takes up majority of your life, basically. So it's a trade that you're doing, and it's not for everybody. Like for me, the way I'm built, I'm much more like let's say a Renaissance man. Like when you used to if I have to boil down what really passionate me, it's is knowledge. Like it's the acquiring the curiosity about things. Everything. I'm very curious by nature, and this is something that is not really appreciated in a normal job because for me, after a while, I do something, I master it, I need to move over. I cannot just keep repeating that endlessly. I need to change it somehow. I need to have some action over it, and in corporate job or in general, a job in a big city is much harder to do that. To have a very varied and variegated background of job. It's not so easy. So
I
for
feel
me, it was
I feel what's very interesting is that the beauty of what you're telling about is that it's still a journey, right? So you are saying right now you realize that you prefer way more, like your priority is more on living your passions, the curiosity, the knowledge, and all that. And through that, throughout the time, you're actually creating an expertise, knowledge in two different fields. Or
Mhm.
probably even more because you taught me more about your pizza maker as well and stuff. So it's
yes, 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 yes.
but what I'm saying is that you're creating organically two different paths where you're an expert in, and it doesn't matter in the end if you spend 6 months being an osteopath for freedivers or the whole year, because as you said before, if you're doing that the whole year, you realized already, you experienced before that you're losing the spark in it. So actually, it's good to
Mhm.
have both of it. And I believe that every person that has multi interests has to live them all because that's how it works. I know I need creativity, I need physical excitement, I need like in the ocean, I need knowledge, something for my brain. I always like to study further with courses and stuff, and this all has to be met. These are needs that have to be fulfilled. And also money wise, for me, money creates a lot of freedom in life, and I like to earn good money. So when I left my corporate job, I said to myself, also when I'm self-employed, I want to make good money. And but now the difference is that I do it in a very easy way because I love to coach, but still I earn very good money with it because I created the way that I believe it should be. And what I think is that you can still like shift your mindset about money also regarding that, because the more passionate you are about your work, and I know because I experienced your work. I know that you're very passionate about it, very professional, and yeah, very straightforward regarding results and like overachieving, let's say, like because you're doing what you said, like you're going this extra mile. I was able to feel that because it's like, yeah, it feels like the person is very important for you. And for me, it's the same in the coaching, and that's why people love to work with you because um it's very rare in these days that people are really seeing that other person and listening and understanding and putting an effort in it, and not just like, okay, we have 10 minutes, like in clinic work for instance, is like that probably, right? Like you have your appointment time and
Seriously,
it
you
has to
need
be
to.
finished and whatever, then the next client is coming. If not, they have to wait, then they are disappointed that they have to wait, and there's not much
Exactly.
fulfillment in that. But
No, no, exactly.
the difference now is that being able to pick with whom you're working with, and the whole freediving bubble is very, like as you said, like I also experienced that. I'm freediving now that more a little bit more than a year, but before I did scuba diving already, and all these people who are in the ocean, they have a totally different mindset as well. So what I figured out is also that I'm getting a lot of inspiration through my clients. Like through them, I learn a lot. They also trigger me, so then I can have a look at my triggers. So then I grow again, and it's like very, very inspiring, because through that we all grow. And I believe that it's always good to have a break, which is for you the 6 months when you're like in the historical part, then because then you can integrate everything that you have been learning before, all the knowledge and expertise, and being able to maybe also reflect on it because you're in a different country then,
Exactly.
even
Yeah. It's a
because
change of perspective. Yeah.
yeah,
Like when you step outside of it, like it's always a way of kind of assessing and testing what you're doing because you distance yourself from it. Like for me, this also was important both ways in my life in Italy, in Milan, in my life in Dahab. Every time I step away, like there is something that I miss and something that I don't miss. So this is a good process for me personally to prune away, to cut off the things that are not necessary in life that I really didn't miss, and to focus in a specific way on the thing that really makes my heart beat. So like when I first came to Dahab 9 months ago, I was sorry, 2 years ago, the first 9 months I was here for almost 9 months. And after that, I had like specific stuff that I was missing, which turned out to be the thing that really makes me who I am and that really I truly enjoy it. I deeply enjoy it. Like this thing, I don't just do this thing to keep my mind occupied, not to think about my life, because sometimes like you go into this loop where you do things just to keep your mind occupied so you don't think actually about your life condition. I do this thing because I truly, really enjoy it. It is my core self. Like I do this because it's true to myself doing this activity, seeing this person, being in this place, it's true to myself. If I do that, I'm being kind to myself. And the ability to do this comes with deprivation for me. Like I was really able to see that when I deprive myself of it for a little bit, not for like 10 years, for a month, so for 9 months, a year, I kind of deprive myself of stuff. And I say, wow, I miss this, this, and this. I don't miss this and this and that. So I can cut that out, focus on this. So even though I'm less time in Italy, less time in Dahab, when I'm here, I'm much more focused. So my life, it's much more dense, like with experiences, with knowledge, with everything. It's a denser life. So it feels 2 years, it passed, but also it's full of experiences that I
yeah,
could never have done if I was grinding an everyday job, which gives you another experience and another mindset, of course. So everything gives
yeah,
you
like,
something back.
and it feels like that's it's sometimes because also if I look at my whole year, sometimes it feels like way more than 1 year. It's like
Mm-mm-mm.
it feels like 10 years or something. I don't know. It feels like a way longer period. And I believe that all this, of course, changing is not an easy thing because it's always like there's an unknown part, which for me, I'm always curious about the unknown, but at the same time, there's always a little part of a fear or being scared of, oh, what's going to happen? Let's see, because there's a nervousness around it.
Yeah,
But
but it's the pepper of life for me. Like
it
it's
is, yeah.
not
But it's
having everything planned out. It's okay
Yeah,
because
but
like
I think it's a practice. It's a matter of practice because
mm,
the first time when I stepped out of the corporate world after 8.5 years, I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? And now it's like easier and easier and easier. And also, I realized that it's all about practice. It's all about you can talk forever, but if you're not changing something or doing it, there's not
yeah,
much
it's
learning, and that's what I appreciate a lot. To just like, if my intuition tells me do this, I do it. I don't question it
sweet to
anymore.
say.
And then later on, I will realize why I did that. And also then you
Yeah,
know, do you like it? Yes, no. Which parts did you like? Okay, then you implement that in your new profession. The other parts you cut it out. So that's how a process is going. And I think that's something that for everyone that listens right now, it's very important because you have to try out, otherwise you will not know. Because if you listen to other people's experiences, it doesn't matter. That's their experience.
no, no, you need to make mistakes. Like
Exactly.
it it needs to be in a controlled environment, and that you need to create. Like being overly reckless, it can be a little part of your portfolio. Let's say I try to always, in a natural way. Let's say I don't have like an Excel sheet about it, but with my mind to do half of the things that I do that are kind of easy. I know that I can do them. A quarter of them that are challenging, but they just require time, and a quarter of them that you might not work out, might work out. So take a risk, but a small part of what I do is taking a reckless risk, which is like, okay, if it goes wrong, I'm losing that time. Because if you do that for 100% of your energy and time, that can be a little bit strong on you. You feel like the ground is being taken off your feet. Whereas if you just have a little part of you that is, sometimes you do something that it's a little bit risky, it's okay. If it goes well, it went well, good job. If it goes wrong, it's usually teaching you a lesson because you
Exactly.
can take that loss not as like something so personal and deep, but it's like more like imagine yourself being like the loss. What I see, like mentally speaking, is like a fruit that you're choosing to pick, but you're the actual tree. So it doesn't really matter if you lose a fruit or you take one fruit, you're producing more. Like the way, if you're really true to yourself, which takes time, it's not easy, and you try to know yourself a little bit more, then you're able to do things that are taking you to a road that you will walk, and within the road, for sure, the result will come. The money will come. Like, of course, it needs consistency, hard work. Nothing is free in this world, for sure. But if you're able to pursue something that is very true to yourself, then you do a hard work in a smart way, which is
And it's
my
going
main goal.
organically. It's going
It's
going.
very organic. You feel it is work. You're tired, but you sleep and you wake up and you're good. Like we are made to be to bed tired. We don't. I don't want to go to bed that I'm full of energy. I want to have a day where I train myself. I work with a passion, with passion with a patient. I speak with people. I go to bed. I'm a little tired. I read my book. I sleep. This is good. Like I don't mind to be tired. I don't mind to work hard, but it needs to be also smart. And money is like debt. Here in Touchdown. Gus, which is this amazing guy that is the owner of Touchdown and is the reason why I'm in Dahab. I never can stop enough thanking him. He always says this. He says that the depth is a consequence of relaxation. So like you don't look for depth in freediving. You look for an experience within yourself, and then the number will grow by themselves. Like this is true also with money in life. Like I think that if you're true to yourself, and you're look within yourself, money will come in a way that is very organic, and it will surprise you like how easy it is to make that amount of money and how hard was it before,
Exactly.
because
Yeah.
people can perceive the genuinity behind something. All right, like it's something that is perceived by people in all the field. I believe even if you're selling something online, if you do it with passion, there is a way to convey that you're doing that with passion, even if it's not just something one-to-one personal, which is my strong suit. Especially in a one-to-one personal kind of job, which is all of my job. People really can feel if you're doing that or for passion, you're doing that because you have to do it.
Yeah.
And like it's a win-win. If I do that because I want to do that, then for me it's much easier, and for them is better. So it's like
I
I'm really putting a lot of energy into it.
For sure, and I believe also in that now as you're working with free divers and you yourself love to free dive, you love the ocean, you love spearfishing and all that stuff, that then obviously your curiosity regarding anatomy, which is totally different for the free diving aspect, is bigger to grow. And maybe in one period
See,
of life it will change again, but this is also important to understand for every period in life. There are circumstances which are right, and then it can grow and it can change. And like, because life is like a river, it's flowing. It's never
see,
like
see,
when you put your hand in the water, you will never be able to touch the same water because it's always flowing and it's always like
100%. Yeah,
and also I think that it's very important that what you said is very true regarding this like relaxation that the depth is coming by itself. It's same with like I mean I love to do freediving in the pool, indoor apnea, but which is horizontal. But also when I'm in the ocean and I'm trying to get a bit deeper because it's not my main incentive to go deeper. I love the marine mammals and the fact I am in the water, but if I'm trying to get a bit deeper, it's very interesting because every time when I'm thinking like, okay, I want to reach this 15 meters, let's say, it's a bit like it's feeling like an obligation. I feel a bit more stuck. But if I just be like, okay, I'll just enjoy it. I want to just like relax my whole body. It's like a meditation for me. I go down, and most of the times I even close my eyes. And then this safety stopper comes where the 50 meters are, and you're like, oh, it's here. Oh, it's already here. And then it's just like a surprise, like, oh, I reached it. And it was super easy then. And I think this is a nice metaphor, what you were like explaining as well before.
exactly. Like
For
it's a
life,
consequence,
it's a consequence, and it's a logical consequence. But I also believe that it's needed to do mindset work because re
of course.
behind all of this, like, it's not because I am a coach and I want to tell others you need a coach. It's more that I personally believe that if you're working on your mindset, regarding freediving, mindset is a big factor. And I think in business in general, in life, in everything, mindset is always the key. And
Yeah,
if you know that you have like a money mindset, which says money is whatever, hard to get or stuff like that, or money is shit because my parents did this and that with that, or whatever, like there's so many belief systems that are growing since we're children, then it will be harder. And then having a particular look at that and put it's like a blind spot and you put like a torch on it, like a light on it, and then it's easier to yeah, change the belief, and then you're even going further. So that's my personal
no,
view.
100%. When I'm saying that, I didn't mean like you don't need like it's like sailing a little bit. You need to have a goal, knowing that the the chart that you're the course that you're charting can be different, but you need to have a lighthouse where you're pointing your ship towards, like a buoy that you need to turn around. You need to have something, of course. Like it's not saying that otherwise there is a big chance you start to float around a little bit too much and you start to go for easy stuff and you put your energy in the wrong places in the wrong time. So mindset and a little bit of organization goes a long way because it gives you a structure, right? But it's ability to work within this mindset, knowing that this mindset is something that you created yourself and is not you're not a tree. You can change, you can walk away. If this starts to be wrong, because as you say, we are ever flowing, we are ever changing. I'm a very different person than 2 years ago. There is a need for you to sit down, reflect and say, okay, let's make a point of my life. Is this really what I want? Like it's something that comes with a little bit of practice and time and energy that you kind of have to dedicate to yourself to self-check if what you're doing is the right thing. And this comes, of course, with having a goal, a mindset. My goal now is I'm doing lecture. I'm really enjoying doing lecture about the anatomy and physiology of freediving. And here in Touchdown Space, we do them. When I'm here, I try to do a couple of them a month. It's free to join. People come here, just speak about scientific fact about freediving and training in general. And people really do enjoy it, and I really enjoy doing that. So for me, that now that's a goal. I want to implement that. And in my other job, I want to implement other aspects of it. So I'm working on implementing stuff. But sometimes I stop and I say, am I not even happy, but am I at peace? I'm okay with it. Yeah, happiness is like it's for me, it's a little bit of a fleeting concept. I don't really like to work for happiness because it's something that I cannot control fully because it's not everything is up to me, and I'm not that narcissistic that if I'm happy, then everything is happy. So it's outside factor will affect me, but what I can control usually is to be at peace with myself. Like it's to have a calm mindset. When I'm calm, I'm the most productive. So I prioritize above everything being calm and relaxed. Not because I don't want to work, but because I know that I'm most productive when my mind is in a calm state. I
Because
can
you're in a
flow.
peace then, and that's where everything can unfold because then you have a space. Because when the mind is getting calm, that's what most people are afraid of. Because then
Right.
all the shit chat comes up. But
That's the point.
that's the fact in freediving because when you're going down in the ocean or statics or dynamic or whatever you do,
Mm.
the mind will be like the biggest challenge. And once you
See, 100%, yes. Like in free diving, you have this aspect which is mental, which is again is a tool because freediving is momentary. So you can take it out of the water, but you need to think about it. Because sometimes I see freedivers that are really like up in the air, not calm person, but they are able to switch. But then they go back under the water, they switch again. So it's again the ability to use a tool is not the ever curing pill that you take, and if you do
yeah,
freediving, you're a calm person. It allows you to see and test if you're working on yourself. It's a perfect tool. But if you use it in a wrong way, again, it's just a tool. It's a strong tool, of course. It's like meditation. It's a strong tool, but you need to do other work outside. Your life outside the free diving, it's a majority of the time of the day. So if you do 2 hours of free diving, but the other 14 hours of active time you are stressed and it doesn't work.
yeah.
So
And I mean,
it's
when
I
you're
agree.
freediving, then that's very interesting. When I had, for instance, a very full packed, stressful day, and there's things that are still working in my mind, it just doesn't work. It's
Yeah,
so
it's
hard to relax like this and be like,
you
okay,
cannot.
let's go down. And then I'm like, shit, I can't. Like, and the
Yes,
mind is
yes, yes.
busy and stuff. And so, yeah, it's right what you're saying. And it's all about a balance and about the right amount of like, yeah, how do you keep your mind calm and like in peace? Is that in my idea that you're doing everything as like aligned to your values and as good as you believe you want to do it, and then your mind is also not so busy in my idea because you did everything as you thought is best,
Exactly. Sì, sì, sì. Because
and
you're
that's
true to
it.
yourself. You're kind to yourself.
Yeah,
You're you pass through the step where you took responsibility for your own life choices, which is something that in general I see that I speak about personal experience, but people who surround me many times they tend to delegate it. You delegate it to the work. You delegate it to a partner. You delegate to your children if you have a child, to the family. Like you kind of use these other things as a delegation device. So you don't think really about who you are, what you want, and you don't really get to know yourself. You just using yourself to be how do you say to wear a mask, you know, you have the mask of the father, the mask of the partner, the mask of the worker, so you don't really have to think about what's beneath this mask, which you need, of course, in life. You need to have social masks. It's something that is a powerful tool to have, but also the person that's behind it needs to be self-centered, strong, knowing what are your needs, what are the things that you want to do that you don't want to do, and this takes a lot of time and work, and it's a scary process for me. Where I began it 2.5 years ago, it was very scary and very energy and time consuming because I studied 8 years, which is basically all my 20s. So I really didn't have to think about this. I always had the exam next month, the practice, the girlfriend, the house, which is was all right because to acquire the certain amount of knowledge and the practice in a very different job, which is a very difficult job, which is osteopathy and physical therapy, you need time. And to have that time, it's okay to do that. I'm not saying it's not okay. I did it. I don't regret it. But for me, I reached a point where I didn't need to have this tool anymore that allowed me to study because my study went down a lot. And I found myself with this big chunk of energy and time, which at first I poured directly into job. And then I say, okay, no, let's use this time and energy to put it on myself because then I'm able to create something that's much more suited than me. But once you do that, you're responsible. You cannot come back. It's a bit, I would say, a little bit of a hard choice because you're responsible, fully responsible of yourself.
Yeah, and
You don't delegate it.
it's all a
It's a
process. Like
process. It's a process. Yeah.
I left the corporate world 7 years ago, and I was barely able to put any boundary. I was not able to say no. I was not able to say,
Yeah, yeah,
I go home now. No, like even if I
yeah.
was tired, I just like I worked like a mach like was more like a robot or like a people
Sì,
pleaser.
sì.
And it takes time. Now I'm very good in saying no, and I don't feel bad about it at all because I know that it's also good for the other person because if
And
I
for
show my boundaries,
yourself at first.
I show my boundaries, the other person knows the boundaries, and it's good. Like because then they don't overstep, and there's no argument or stuff like that. And then also what I see is that it's all. I think everything what you're describing is a big growth. You know, it's like all a big process. It's a journey in life. And what's very important because like I get a lot of clients who did their PhD, for instance, some even
Mhm.
several PhDs because they love to learn and they're very curious and stuff. And then they realize, shit, I'm lost because there's no why doing another PhD now again on top. And that because that's kind of like the top reaching of studies,
Sì,
like
sì.
PhD.
Study, yeah, you're right. You're a doctor in something, then
And
you
then,
what is there more to do? Sì, sì.
exactly. And then it's coming to that point what you were talking about, like responsibility. So, okay, when I have a PhD in neuroscience, for example, and I'm trying to not pick clients examples now, but if you have a neuroscience PhD and then you have a passion of this and of that and that, that's where my job comes in, and I love that because then you can create a new profession, something that doesn't
Exactly.
exist
Sì,
yet. And
100%.
that's
Like
based on, sorry, that's based on like you as a person, as an individual, and that is unique. So this profession just simply doesn't exist yet. So that's why people feel lost then sometimes because they have a look at I don't know, these papers where you have all these jobs for to apply
LinkedIn, you go to LinkedIn, you start to look, yeah, and like
LinkedIn,
this is
and
not
you're
me,
like,
this is not me, this
yeah,
is not me.
that's not,
Of
I don't
course.
know. And yeah, but you can create your own profession by just simply being you. And it can also be
Mm-mm.
having a part-time corporate job for whatever. And then the other part-time is your self-employed. It doesn't have to be black and white. It can be every color of the rainbow. And that's where it becomes so interesting to me to show people that there is not just this one way. Like it's ridiculous. There is never existed
Absolutely.
way.
And education, what it gives, like what I feel it's giving me, it's like an investment you did. Like it really allows you to have part of you that holds a strong value that so you would learn a skill usually or even a mindset. Sometimes you didn't even learn skill because to reduce education to just skills that you're learning and that you can monetize, I think is it's too little to give credit to education just for that. It's a mindset that you learn that people then seek for it. So you're creating something within yourself that has a value, and with education many times you create stronger value within yourself. So many times education gives you enough time. Of course education is it's something that you do that requires time but also is a privilege that you are accessing, like through education, you are going through a process that it's honed by hundreds of years, usually, of people have already done that. So being able to access to this kind of information gives you inside something that holds a strong value. Then for me, it's smart to use this value that you created yourself, using this knowledge that was there to do something for yourself. So you have it, and then you really have to compare this something that you created with studying to who you are. Sometimes we miss the second part. We just create the tool. So I become an engineer, let's say, and I just live around the concept that I'm an engineer. You never take the time to learn yourself and how to coordinate and and put together these two different worlds, which is yourself and your engineer self, yourself and your osteopath self. Two different things that you need to kind of combine together. Sometimes it's perfect match. So there is many people that I know that are perfectly happy of being the engineer because they're an engineer, like the complete match. Amazing. They were this. I cannot. It's personal. Sometimes I see people who wants to make it work so hard but that they miss the point that is they are more than that. And I was that person. No? I'm like the way I'm built is that I'm much more than one thing, and my mind cannot wrap around that idea. So I was trying to really make this two circles be on the same place, but I could not, and I was very frustrated by it. And the way to do that was to kind of break the cycle and look on the circle of who I am, what I want, what are my core values, what are my boundaries, all this stuff, all this work, which takes time, and you have to redo it every now and then because you change. But once you do that, once you learn the tool of how to read yourself, then you're able to really know what you want, and everything else, it's okay. If it changes and in 3 years from now I'll be doing something different, it's okay because I know I will do something different that is true to myself of 3 years from now.
Exactly.
So to be in the present and knowing that you're doing the best with the tool that you have right now, it's a very good feeling to have in my life, to be honest.
And
So
also being aware that all like everything happens in life, or what are the steps in life is all needed. It's everything is needed. Like some people need a frustration to do a change. It's needed. They needed that experience. Elsewise, how can you know? And also, like if you like, I like to also do like a lifeline, and then you have a look like where you're standing right now, and you have a look like to the past, let's say, and then somehow there's this realization always like, wow, everything makes sense. That's why I did this. That's why I did that. And when you're becoming more conscious about your decisions and more awareness, creating more awareness through yoga, meditation, freediving, whatever. Like every person has a different way of creating awareness for themselves, to being more present in the moment, then realizing after each decision that you're taking the real intention. Like, let's say you study something new in your field, and then, yeah, maybe the intention is to get the certificate to be an engineer. But maybe it's also because there's a very technical, rational, logical mind that is very curious for that part. But then at the same time, realizing that, okay, this engineering path that is created by the society working in corporate after and that stuff, for some people it's a match, for some it's not. And then
exactly,
you can specialize yourself, because it's like same as you do a bachelor, you learn everything around that field, but then you specialize based on your passions. And that's where it's coming. That's, I think, that moment is when it's interesting, because some people are afraid then, because from our parents and stuff we learn a lot, but they live a different life, and like they
of
will not
course.
be able to tell, oh, now you should go in that direction for ocean, whatever. Like, no, because you are a new creation of them, but still with a totally
New
new
world.
creation, new mindset, new world. And that, I think, is that point where many people are just like they appreciate to be in the comfort zone. Then maybe there's a good job where they pay well and it feels safe, so yeah, why not?
It's done. Yeah, it's done.
And
You are
then many
arrived.
years pass by, and then it's like, oh, now I'm too late to start something new. And that's bullshit, because I met so many people in my life that changed. Even, I think, one woman I met this year in Tonga in French Polynesia, she changed her life with 70. and she studied law,
Sì, sì, sì.
and she became a lawyer and said, "This is my new passion." It's like, wow, okay.
Yeah, like
And
Joseph Conrad, you know, I don't know if you know the writer who wrote um, Line of Darkness, uh, where they took the film Apocalypse Now. I don't know if you know. Uh, he's a famous Polish naturalized English writer. He became a world-famed class writer, super well known at, but he started writing at 30, 34, 35. Before he was like a sailor and was doing other stuff. So like it's like you have brilliant people who do other stuff in life and change, but this is the ability to be able to change. Like it's and then you produce Heart of Darkness, which is one of the masterpieces of human literature. It's amazing. Like it's the ability to be able to switch and to change and to be, and this comes with knowledge, with uh, education. Knowledge helps you to do that because you always have a strong base where you can not where you can fall down to, or a strong foundation where you can start to build on top of. Because sometimes things looks different than they are, but I'm a strong advocate that education and knowledge is really the key to solve many of the problem of personal problems, societal problem, also, but all boils down to access, personally speaking, to access to education, because it's really that tool that allows you to optimize your brain power in a way that you cannot do that by yourself. Nowadays, we are like bombarded. We have information every day. We have the access to all the information possible in our pocket every day. I'm in Egypt, I'm in Dahab, I'm in the middle of the desert, and I can access all the book in the world within my pocket, which is something crazy. My grandma, she's 104, bless her heart, she's still alive and kicking and like very well within her mind. And sometimes we have interest still, we have interesting conversation. And one of them we had like 2 weeks when I went to visit her in Italy 2 weeks ago was exactly about that. She was explaining to me that when she was younger, she was doing a dissertation. It was 1948, so right after the Second World War. And she had to go to Venice to get the books and come back to Carrara. It's like 2 days travel back then. Well, nowadays, like she wanted me to teach her how to use Google and stuff because she is mesmerized by the fact that you can just have information. So all this to say that in the last 100 years, life changed so much, especially with the internet revolution. It's insane the amount of information we can access. But exactly because of that, you need an education to be able to access this information in a way that it's suited. Like you need to be able to discern what information is junk and what information is good, because otherwise you start to build yourself a mentality that it's not based on like true stuff, on stuff that is actually good information. So it's a double-edged sword as always. So we live in this society where information is very free, which is amazing, but in order to access it, I'm a strong believer that you need to have a background. So you access it in a smart way.
And also, like what you said is very true. Like, you don't have to do another bachelor necessarily or a master degree on
No,
top or something. You can like also just read and experience yourself through projects, and or you can listen to TED Talks or whatever is out there now. Like you can like
absolutely.
find an expert in something because nobody is inventing the wheel new, barely. And
Usually we say inventing the hot water. No, no, no.
yeah. And you can like just like reach out to experts, yeah, experts, and you can also like yeah, doing shortcuts through that. If you go
Of
to a
course,
teacher that's specified in that field, you will learn much more because that
of
person
course.
has been doing all that work already, rather
Exacto,
than
yes.
studying to read from zero again. And also what you said about your grandma is very nice. Like my grandma is also like, I think she's one of the most inspiring people for me in that generation. She's 80, whatever, 84, I think. But it's like when I travel, for instance, she's always a person that I love to call when I'm abroad somewhere, very far away also, because when I explain her, oh, I see this now, I see that. I did a road trip from when I was studying in Florida, I did a road trip from Miami or West Palm Beach to Key West. Um,
Mhm.
I don't remember how many hours that is, but you go through the whole Everglades area. And as everyone else already did that trip, I was like, okay, then I do it just by myself. Let's see what comes up. and I did a Skype call with my grandma for 2 hours while I was driving, and I had it on speaker. And I explained, I was like, wow, wow, there's this, there's that. So I was describing the nature and stuff. And until today, she always says, wow, do you remember our trip to the through the Everglades? Because for her, like, she's very good in visualizing. Afterwards, she was looking some documentaries in the television about Everglades, West Palm Beach, about the whole Florida coastline. And it was such a beautiful memory. And she wasn't even there, but she said, like, wow, Mel, it is incredible that we're able, you're on another continent, and we're able to talk here. And I feel as if I'm with you. And this is creating also memories together somehow, which I would have never
See,
thought about
beautiful,
because they're just not
beautiful.
used to it. And also, she reminded me lots of times already, being like, wow, in your age, I mean, in my age, she had like kids, two kids, like my mom and my uncle, was married, they had their house, she had to like go to work and do everything, whatever. They also traveled, but not in that amount that we can travel now.
It's a privilege we are living. I think, like, I really perceive this as being born as a white straight male in a G7 country. So I genetically speaking, I won the lottery basically. But I perceive that as a privilege. I'm very aware that I'm a privilege within the privilege. Then we can agree, of course, if I was born I don't know, in Switzerland, maybe it's a little bit better economic than Italy. But if you compare myself, like living in Egypt, really made me also think that exactly this we have a privilege, the knowledge, the education I was able to access, the technological advances that we all have because of the time period where we live. All these are all privileged that it's up to us to know how to use. And I'm a strong believer if you have a background in something, then you are able to use this privilege in a smarter, kinder, more human way. Instead of abuse them, you use them in a smart way. Like you're able to create a better world, not only for yourself, but also for the people that surrounds you. Because maybe I will never go into politics. I don't really like it, so I will never change the world for sure. But I can change the world and the society that surrounds me, and that I really try hard.
Yeah, because
So I
also
choose to use the privilege
for
this
sure,
way.
and through this podcast, for instance, it's something that I appreciate a lot to do it because, like, actually speaking, when you have a look at it from outside, I don't get money for it.
Yeah, of course.
Indirectly, I don't. We both take the time to sit here now and talk, and I spend time after to edit and upload and stuff, and still I do it because I love it. It's super interesting. Like the talks that I'm having, like right now, this talk is very inspiring, and if it's just inspiring me and you, then like I can imagine how much other people that are listening to it are getting inspiration, and that's my goal in the end because I meet so many people along my journey that are so interesting that I want to bring their story out in the world. Because others, maybe if they even pick up like one or two things from this one episode, I'm happy. And
Yeah,
it's
you did the
something
job.
that obviously also it's marketing, it's creating like you are making yourself visible with your work, I am making my work visible, but it's more the for me it's more the purpose of creating interesting, inspiring communication where others hopefully get something out of it and be like, wow, yeah, why can't I just also do that or that? And like, because I would love that everyone does more what they love, because then there would be way more freedom in world, and yeah, it would be very nice to have an effect like that. Um,
It's a little bit of creating or changing the social fabric that surrounds you. Like we like living in a society where we live, it's a hyper individualistic society where we think we cannot change anything. We are just a little bit of a cog in a big machine. So you have this feeling that we lost kind of self sense of community. So we don't really have this not anymore, at least in a big city, of being part of a community, which was very present until my grandma generation, basically. But I think, by doing this kind of job of sharing, like for me, it's both of my work and maybe my lecture I do here, or just freely sharing and giving, giving to the people that surrounds you without expecting to have anything back. it's okay. You have something back, it will come. The point is that it will come. Like I don't even prioritize anymore. In my life, I never sent a curriculum, never once. Like just by putting work and doing work and being myself, work came to me in a very natural way.
I
Also
wanted
because I
to
don't
go
work
to
in corporate.
I wanted to go to this point as well. So it's good that you're talking about it now because it's very interesting. I will also like put your Instagram in the show notes so people can connect with you if they want and if you want. And it's very interesting because you don't have a homepage, right?
No, I don't have a, I don't
And,
have a
and I
homepage. I don't have an
remember
Instagram.
and I remember when I was in Kalamata and we had the appointment for osteopathy, you said, don't tell too many people that I'm here and stuff. So it's very funny on a way because for everyone that doesn't know, you were like treating the competitors from the World Championship of the freediving that was happening
Yes, some of them.
in
Yes,
Kalamata. And was the beauty of all of this is like when you are and it's also big learning for everyone that listens, like when you are doing what you really love and you're doing that out of your passion and stuff, and then you're doing a good job, it's mouth to mouth propaganda. It's like everyone will talk about it, be like, oh wow, like in your case, whatever, like my neck was so stiff every time I went for this diving, whatever, and now I feel so good, I feel so relaxed or something. They're like, oh, why? How? Yeah, I was with this guy, and like, so this is how is the best marketing working actually.
yes,
And
good product.
that's very interesting because that's how also I have to say like my homepage is in a phase now that it's getting totally renewed. But I get all my clients also through like this woman reached out through me because she heard about that person that had a coaching with me and whatever, and that's how everything creates. Or in daily life, I have conversations and people trust me always right away. They open up without that I ever saw them in my life because somehow I seem to have this ability that people feel good about sharing and feeling safe in that environment. And I think that's very beautiful because to create customers and money through that in the end as well,
Of
and
course.
also being able to help them.
I mean, it's on certain field, it's a needed thing, like to like also to be able to market yourself and sell yourself is important.
For sure.
But especially like when I speak like about the medical field, the health field, I don't really to like to market myself too much because like within the market, like I work in some studies in Milan before I had my own that really pushed maybe treatment that they were not harmful, but they were not useful for the clients, and they pushed me to do it, and I didn't do it, and I got into big arguments because I have a strong moral about my work. I always, not usually, I always do what I know it's the best for the patient. And that goes also into not making so much money. Sometimes the patient comes to me and say, I'm not the right professional. You need to go to see X and Y.
And
Like
that shows that you're good because I always appreciate that whenever there's a service behind something between humans, it's always good to be honest and be like, okay, I can help you with that, yes, or I can't, and then it's better you go to someone else because that's
exactly.
where authenticity is so important when
Yeah.
you're working with people.
So
Yeah,
like for me now, it would be not important, but something that to leave a trace, to do more, not much about the part of more patients, more work, but more to spread the word that I know it's needed to be spread. So more on a way of doing the lecture, not just on place here in touchdown, but also online, would be a way of like sharing my knowledge. I'm very open about it. I never like, especially in scientific thing, the secrecy behind. I have my training plan gonna keep for me because you're discovering the hot water always. There's always somebody who probably spend their entire academic life studying that one little things, and you're not discovering anything. The key of being a good healthcare professional, a good coach, a good trainer is not much about finding the fancy and the more new schedule of training, of treatment, the acupuncture, all this new stuff. It's about having a strong basis and be able to guide the person through a path that you know it will take them to health. to a healthier self, to a result, to have what they want, which many times is very easy. Like I always like to say something that Bruce Lee used to say, which is he was used to say, before I studied Jeet Kune Do, a punch was a punch and a kick was a kick. While I was studying Jeet Kune Do, a punch was much more than a punch and a kick was much more than a kick. And after I finished studying Jeet Kune Do, a punch was a punch and a kick was a kick. So all this to say that before you study, before you know stuff, people have this tendency to like being a little bit self-entitled, but they don't know really, they miss some basic. Then when you study this stuff, you start to like really think about how complicated it is to deal with the situation and to deal with everything. Like it's crazy complicated. So you complicate life for yourself. Then with a little bit of experience and knowledge and keep studying, you start to learn that usually the easiest answer is the right answer. So my job is a lot about communication, a lot about direction of a person, a lot about taking care of somebody, directing them to the right choices. So it's, of course, manual therapy too, but it's like a lubrication oil that I use here and there. It's not, it's a tool. We go back to speaking about tools. So you need to have that really clear in mind. So what I would like to do in the future is to have a stronger reach with my Instagram and social web to spread the information in a way that is very open and very free, because I'm a true believer that, of course, I paid for it, but I pay just for a fraction of it. Like a lot of information that I'm getting, it also comes from the fact that it was built into a society. So I'm not paying all of it. I'm just paying for the tuition fees for the salary of the teacher that are teaching that. But the information itself, it has been created by the privilege again. So I am a privileged man in a privileged society. I access to information through paying because it's much faster. We were speaking about that when you learn with the teacher is much faster. But once you have that, for me, the ethical choice is to just spread it. Of course, you need to make money out of it, but there is a different way. But I don't like to put a money wall, a paywall in front of the information that I give. I put the paywall in front of my time, of course. That's what I prioritize. But information, it's free. Like it needs to be free, and I'm a really strong believer that if you just give information, it will come back for sure,
Everything in
100%.
life comes back for sure. That's something I made that experience in a lot of different situations. And also
100%.
um, it's also needed to have a homepage, I think, on the long term, because not everyone
Indeed.
is able to create by themselves all these mouth-to-mouth propaganda where there's a because you have a big community now.
Of
And
course, yes.
one starts from zero from somewhere. We all have to start somewhere. And so a homepage is obviously always good because it has to be something that is visible out there because people cannot
Of
think
course,
read
of course.
your mind. But also this community that you created is kind of like the homepage, let's say, because they know about
Yeah,
your work. We talk now about it, so more people figure it out. And it's like through people like you just went a different way, let's say, because the community and to have a network around with this with people that have similar mindset and ideas, that is like the key for everything because
exactly.
you can like grow like crazy and still be in the whole old environment and not having anyone to exchange your knowledge with. It's very frustrating. So
It
it's
is
very needed to go out, have a new community, travel, like experience different groups of people. And because I was always a fan of my friends groups are very various. They're very different type of people. But that's and I was always asking myself since I was small, I was like, why am I having like not this one friends group and these groups where they do everything together and like but I'm like, no, I'm way too curious about so different type of people that I also appreciate it a lot now because when you're traveling, you're making friends all over the world. And then there's a
true.
freediving bubble, but then there's also a yoga bubble, then there's a business entrepreneur bubble. I love that. That's amazing.
Surfer bubble.
Yeah, surfer bubble. It's like,
It is, yeah.
like this is what makes it so special about that. And it was a reason that I was incorporated. I love that business work also. I love to work with business. So yeah, everything happens for a reason and the main key in my eyes is always to get to know yourself first, and based on that, based on the values and needs, creating something around, and then you can like start to go out with your work and like make something good and hopefully ethically changes with people and in the world, like making a change in the environment. I think that's the best thing what could be the result of it. Yeah.
Esatto, esatto, I agree 100%.
Nice.
It's,
So if there is one thing that you want to like spread, what would that be?
hard, hard question. Like one last nugget. Wow, what would you like to spread? Just follow your heart. It sounds a little bit cheesy, but at the end of the day, like be true to yourself, be kind to yourself, know your strong suits, follow your heart, and good things will come. It'll take time, it'll take energy, it'll take a little bit of defeat here and there, but if you allow that to teach you somehow, then slowly, slowly you'll see that the process will work. It is the harder road, of course, not the hardest, but one of the hard road. But for me, as of right now, as of today, 9 of November 2024, it's worth to walk, worth to walk.
Yeah, for
It's,
sure. Yeah,
I feel on the right road, which is good.
for sure. Yeah, follow your heart. I think that's a good ending quote, let's say. And yeah, thank you so much for having you here. It was very nice to talk with you. And
It was my pleasure, Mel.
everyone that is listening to it, like you're free to reach out to Francesco, and also to follow this podcast and rate the show with 5 stars to spread the awareness, to make it possible for others also to find it easier. And yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mel.